Hello everyone. Good morning, good evening, etc. I see that already the chat is busy. That is exactly what the chat is for. Thank you for joining me. I'm glad the notifications went out. I'm glad to see some familiar names, if not familiar faces perhaps. This is your live event. I am here to answer questions and help as best I can. I'm just going to get started. Woohoo! And I reply, woohoo to you too. I appreciate the enthusiasm. I find that when I start with that frizzy sound you make when you wake up, it always amplifies my voice. Is this what? I don't know, because I'm not sure that I wake up with a frizzy sound in my voice. Normally, when I wake up in the morning, I'm very phlegmy because I use my voice an awful lot. It's not the singing part that gets to my voice, it's the talking. I'm going to try to do a really good job today, because normally I get to the end of these live events and my voice is seriously cooked because I really want to answer your questions and I try to talk really quickly and I go really fast and it's not great for my voice. So I'm going to try and chill a little bit here. But anyways, yeah, hard for me to say what's going on. Amplifies your voice. And it's all relative too. If when you wake up you sound like, I don't know if you can even hear me, if you wake up and you sound like this. But eventually that frizzy sound makes it so that you're like this. That's, sort of normal speaking volume. It's all relative when it comes to music. So I'm sorry I can't help you more, but maybe expound upon it a little bit in the chat. Tell me more. Tell me what's going on. Like, what do you mean by frizzy? What does that mean exactly? I don't know if I've even encountered that term in describing voices. Hello, hope you're having a good day. Great day, pardon me. Yes, so far so good. I woke up, I actually kind of woke up a little bit earlier than I had wanted to, which is good in terms of getting a jump on the day, is bad in terms of getting the rest that I probably needed. So I got out, got a run in before the sun was even up, and that was cool, and have already had the pleasure of meeting with someone to work on their singing, and now I'm here. So yeah, it's a good day. Hello from Normandy, France. Hello, bonsoir. Hope you're having a lovely or had a lovely day. I am still too shy to speak too much French, so I'll start with bonsoir, and maybe I'll expound upon that a little bit as we go here. Hello from the planet Earth. Nanu, nanu. Klatu varatu nictum. I think that was it from the day the Earth stood still. I love it. Jersey Love Steph. Hello. Luckily, I got the notification and seen it on time. Yay! I'm glad that you're here. And you have a question coming up here in a moment. Where'd Russ go? Where's Russ? Okay, Russ. Hello, Jeff. Is there a sequence to your videos where to start for a beginner and what video to do next? I guess a course that progresses is what I'm trying to say. No, is the short answer to that. If you are new to vocal training, whether you're new to singing or not, I would suggest you check out the beginner playlist. There is one video there that's labeled your first singing lesson, so that might be a good place to start. One of the things that I mean to do this year, 2023, is to actually make I'm thinking of it as a fundamentals course that will work in conjunction with my existing courses on my website. So I do have a couple courses on my website, jeffrolka.com. One of them is breathing for singing. That you could start as a beginner vocalist, and actually makes a lot of sense, but it's not focused on vocalizations or the actual singing, though it does involve singing. It's primarily focused on what I kind of call body geography, like how you hold yourself and how you use your body to quote unquote support your singing voice. What I would prefer to call engagement or subglottic air pressure. The other course, and I'm going to mute my mic for a moment here. The other course is High Note Bootcamp. That is not a course for beginners. So that's about singing high notes, but if you're a new vocalist or new to vocal training, that's not for you. That is for upper register development, and honestly, you'd do well to do the breathing for singing course and then move on to High Note Bootcamp. And there is a course on transposition. I've so far had one person take it. I was really excited about that course. Like, I really got charged up when I made it. But there's like nobody in it. It's just this one person's taken it. But I'm glad that it's there because, quite frankly, I feel like it's really, really good, and I'm just happy that it exists. So yeah, one of the things I want to do this year is make a comprehensive course for new vocalists. I admit I'm a bit daunted by it because it's going to be an awful lot of work, but that's cool. So no, and there's no real sequence to the videos that I have here on YouTube. The point of them is to provide good exercises for a variety of different aspects to your vocal production, and then you can make your own sequences out of them. So you could like start to like develop a sequence when you notice things about your voice, like, oh, my ah vowel, it's not really lining up with these other ones. What does Jeff have here? Oh, I see, he's got these videos, and this one works on ah, and then this one is using ah in this way that is kind of challenging, but I think I can do it, and then you can work that in there like that. Ethan, hi there, Jeff. Bartender here, I think. I find myself singing from my throat, and my resonance isn't at my front mask at all. I also struggle with going high in chest and tensing a lot. And it's just, well, if you're trying to sing high notes in your chest voice, that you're going to tense up. That's unfortunately what happens when there's not enough subglottic air pressure, but it's kind of also a function of trying to just sing higher and higher in your chest voice. If you're trying to access your upper register of your voice, if you're trying to access notes above the break, what I would refer to as the secondo passaggio, whether or not you ultimately wish to sing with a belting style or want to be able to make a seamless transition to voce piena in testa, I would work on your registration event practice. I recommend it all the time. There's a 3-video sequence I did years ago. It will look kind of dated. The sound isn't quite as good as what I have going on now, and I have hair in it. But the technique and the approach is still absolutely relevant. It's called How to Sing High Notes, parts 1, 2, and 3. And I would start there to familiarize yourself with vowel modifications in the zona di passaggio, registration event practice, and then you can make a decision about how you're going to approach your upper register, your high notes. Jersey loves, and I would suggest too, above it all, apagio breath management, your quote-unquote support. Whether you think you know how to support your voice or not, investigate apagio. We can always learn a little bit more. We can always fine-tune our breath management. Don't be like me. In other words, I thought I knew breath support and I trusted what I had learned in the past, but I was wrong. That's why I only switched to apagio. It's been like 15 years or something like that. It still feels like yesterday, but I missed a lot of time when my voice wasn't doing what I was told it could do. I wasn't told what it should be able to do, what it should have been able to, you get what I'm saying here, yeah. And so yeah, assume nothing. Investigate apogeo breath management. Investigate the usage of subglottic air pressure. What does that even mean? If you investigate apogeo, it'll get explained. And then hopefully that will help. Can you please tell me how I can record background and sing to it? Jersey Love Stuff. Well, if you play, like, you know, then basically all you need, I mean, of course it does depend on how produced you want it to sound, but honestly, if you just got an iPhone, you could just set that a few feet away from whatever it is you're recording and record it. And I believe you can get GarageBand for your iPhone. GarageBand is a multi-track DAW, digital audio workstation. So you could set up a session, like get a drum beat from the sounds that are available in GarageBand. Get your headphones in, listen to the drum beat, and play your guitar or piano along with it, and then make a new track and then sing to it. All without doing anything more than that. Like, just full stop. If you want to have a higher production value than that, well, then we get into like a really big conversation. And I don't even know if you play or not. If you do play, then microphones and interfaces come into play. Headphones, like it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger from there. If you there's an older video that I did. The system has changed since I made that video, but some people had been asking me about my setup for video production. And so I made a video about the equipment that I use for video production. And that's just half of the picture. There's a whole other side of the room that has the recording equipment that I use for producing music, for making music, which involve in much less microphones and everything else. The bottom line is that there's never been a lower bar of entry for recording your music. Quite well too, by the way. Like, iPhone recordings, if you spend some time getting like your proximity right and stuff like that, can actually sound pretty reasonably good. And Mary Spender not long ago did a video making a song only using her new MacBook Pro with an M1 chip in it. So she just used the microphone for the laptop. Everything was recorded, or it just was all just the laptop. It's just never been a better time to make things. If you don't play, then you'll have to find someone to play your accompaniment for you, or you'll have to find a track online. Once you've done that, it's simply a matter of importing it into a digital audio workstation. Again, you could use GarageBand, making a new track, and then singing over it. But maybe tell me a bit more. Tell me a bit more about the situation. Nordic Nugs. Hello from Utah. Well, hello there in Utah. I hope you're still here. I'd love it if you could make a video describing all the different terminology you use. For someone who has no training, a lot of it sounds like jargon. Thanks for the great views. Yep. A very reasonable request, and I actually have done a few of those. I'm not sure where they are on the channel, afraid, but they are there. I might also suggest that if you're watching this, you're probably using some type of computing device. And Google has quite a lot of information on it. I'm not sure how much exactly. I'm not sure if anyone knows how much is actually on Google. Or, for that matter, your search engine of choice, whatever you prefer. But if you're not sure what the secondo passaggio is, opening a new tab and typing secondo passaggio into it will quickly tell you exactly what it is we're talking about here. You might have to sort of whittle through a few things. But yeah, I haven't done any of those videos in quite some time. It is jargon, or what's the other term for that? It's it starts with an L, I think. Although jargon, am I right? Does jargon have a bit of a negative connotation? I don't mean to be. I don't want to create these barriers, but equally, and like a lot. Have you ever heard the expression, "We teach best what we most need to learn or want to learn"? I teach the way that I teach because I felt like for such a long time I wasn't given answers that made any sense to me. Like it didn't seem to add up, and it certainly didn't help me with my singing. If someone tells you to support, what does that really mean? It doesn't really mean anything. But when someone says, okay, look, you're going to laterally expand your rib cage, and here are some exercises to help with that if you can't do that. And then having done that, you're going to tense the core body muscles such that they are lifting towards your sternum, and your sternum is here. Those are action items that can direct your physical actions that will help with your quote-unquote support. Those are some of the premises of Apagio breath management and how we use our bodies to create subglottic air pressure. That too might sound like jargon, but if you take it apart, sub, below, glottic, referring to the epiglottis, air pressure, pressurized air. Sub, below the epiglottis, air pressure below the epiglottis, also the vocal folds. That's what it is. So totally get it, and I'll think about it. There are a few already online, but I can totally see doing like a few videos of the most commonly used phrases for the channel. Totally reasonable. Haley, question. When people make cover songs, where do they get the background track to sing to? And two, how do they not get into trouble with copyright infringement? Okay, I can see that I'm already falling horribly behind. And I can see that I'm already doing a really poor job of staying. I totally forgot to mute. Sorry about that. So I'll try to pick up the pace a little bit. But, yeah. One, there are lots of online resources where you can get backing tracks. You can find a lot of them on YouTube. I mean, there's like tons and tons of them that are just right here on YouTube. And there's a couple other sources, websites that do sort of premium track creation. Oh man, there's one that a client of mine used to use all the time. It's something that's like karaokesomething.com, and those were pretty cool because you could make it whatever key you needed, and you could even change the instrumentation, which was really cool. But I don't recall the exact name of that off the top of my head. How do they not get into trouble with copyright infringement? Mostly because most copyright owners just monetize your content on their behalf. So, for example, and it varies widely. Like, I did a reaction video some years ago to Ed Sheeran's song Castle on the Hill, and that video is monetized entirely by Ed Sheeran's financial entities. So if you watch advertisements on my video that I made, Castle on the Hill, Ed Sheeran gets the money for that. He's the copyright owner. On the other hand, I did a video of John Moreland's performance and song, something about stars. It's been a long time now. I've got California Stars on my mind, but that's not the song. Tulsa something, I don't know. Anyways, they split it with me 50-50. So they take half of the revenue and I take half of the revenue. And let's be clear, we're not talking about like a lot of money here. We're probably talking about like $1, maybe. I could check, but I doubt it's even that much for a year. Keeping in mind that most CPMs are something to the effect, for me anyways, because I'm not super huge, my CPM rate is like, is it 8 or 9 cents per 1,000 views? So that John Moreland video, I don't even know if that video has 1,000 views. Maybe it's got a couple thousand, but we're literally talking pennies that he and I are splitting. So you probably won't, I'm not a lawyer, so you should do what you think is right and what you feel comfortable with, but most likely they will monetize your content on the behalf of the copyright owner. If you decide to do an Eagles tune though, you will probably get a cease and desist letter because they're pretty aggressive about people not doing their music. That's because for YouTube, you need what's called a sync license. It is nearly impossible to get these from anyone who has like a relatively famous song. The Harry Fox agency, which does mechanical licenses, that's a different thing, tried to do sync licenses and then they stopped doing them. I would posit, I do not know because I'm not part of the Harry Fox agency entity, I would posit to you that the reason why is because for mechanical licenses, there is a statutory royalty rate in any given region. And for sync licenses, at least in the United States where I currently am, they're up for negotiation. There is no statutory rate. What does that mean? A mechanical license is a statutory rate. Last time I checked, it's like 9.25 cents for the copyright owner and for the publicist. So 19 cents, or 18.5 cents total per copy or per instance. And that's the rate. So if you're super excited about a song that has been released, then you are legally entitled to create your own version of that song so long as you pay royalties. And what that means is that most of the time you can go on Harry Fox agency and say, I need a mechanical license for One by U2. Just, brainstorming here. You're like, oh yeah, okay, there it is. Click, add to cart. I'm gonna make 1,000 CDs, and their processing fee is $10, and that's it. So I guess 1,000 CDs would be like $19 or something like that, and then their processing fee is like another $10, so it's gonna be like about $30 in royalties that you'll have to pay. There is no such system for sync licenses, and a sync license is when you take music and you put it with video. Even if that video is just a picture, it doesn't matter. They're synced in a video context. That requires a sync license, and that's why people get into trouble on YouTube. Mostly though, you'll just get you'll get monetized on the other person's behalf, or you'll get a cease and desist or a takedown or a copyright strike. So be careful. And you might try to find out from other people too, like Pamplemousse does an awful lot of covers. I suspect they're able to get licenses. You might see if you can get in on a live event with them and ask them how they get their sync licenses. That's how you can A, avoid trouble, and B, monetize your content on your behalf on the platform, is to obtain a sync license. Very, very difficult to do. At least it has been in the past. I have to sing a song. By the way, I love questions like that. Thank you so much. Great question. Angelica, I have to sing a song and my voice isn't sounding too good, but the song is in my range. What do I do? Maybe you... I'm not sure. Like, why do you have to sing it? You like set the stage here a little bit for me. I'm going to try to remember to mute. And I don't understand too, like when you say you don't sound good, just in general, or isn't sounding too good, that suggests to me that it's not sounding good right at this moment or this week. Well, why do you have to sing this song? Like, set the stage for me, and maybe we can, maybe I can help right now. But it's a little bit vague for me to feel comfortable starting to talk too much about it. Hey, Andy, I'd like to make a cover based on a famous artist, and I post it to social media, but I'd like to know more before I jump in with both feet. Yeah, well, hopefully I've helped out a little bit with that. Feel free to add more. It seems like it's not too busy after all, actually. So maybe if you're still here, tell me a bit more. Maybe I can help. I would love to sing to Piano Man. I'm not talented enough to sing while playing. Is there any way to record the background on something obtainable, affordable, and use it? So, okay, Jersey Love stuff, great. Beautiful, beautiful. Absolutely. Hopefully, what I said before will help. If you want to so the things I've been talking about with mechanical licenses and sync licenses with Haley, that applies to you as well. If you're gonna like post it to social media. I'm so sorry. You know, like when you start talking about recording, it just goes, you know, deeper and deeper and deeper, because of course, like I'm sitting at an acoustic piano. So there's microphones and preamps and interfaces and all kinds of stuff that are involved in that. But if you're using a digital piano, then maybe all you need to do is take, you know, 2 1/4-inch cables out of the piano and into an interface. You know, and do you have an audio interface already? Do you know what that is? If you're playing an acoustic piano, do you have microphones? And again, do you have an audio interface or anything that might substitute for it? Like, for example, and I think that this is a Mac, I really wish Mac wouldn't have done this. The headphone output ports on Macintosh computers used to be switchable from output. In other words, you'd plug your headphones in and listen, and you could switch it to an input. And so you could take, like if you had a mixer with 2 microphones for your piano, and you could take the output of that mixer and then go in via the headphone port on the Mac and record right into GarageBand. And you get a pretty good, you know, it'd be all right. Not necessarily awesome, but well usable for sure. You're still going to need a microphone for your voice. Yeah. So it's kind of quiet, and we've got a lot of time. Maybe tell me a bit more, and hopefully I can help more. But certainly, if you're using an acoustic piano, then maybe microphones are involved, or maybe it's just again your iPhone or your laptop. Go the Mary Spender route. If you're using a digital piano, you might need a few cables. Still might need an interface. You know, budget is also a consideration here too, and I understand if in this public context you don't want to talk about that, but maybe give me an idea of what you have on hand already and tell me what your budget is. Stefan, hello. David, good morning to you. Tim, good day from France. Good day to you, Tim. Greetings from Peru, Rolf. Thank you so much for popping up. Ethan, Mike is quite oh, really? Sorry about that. Oh, you know what? Sometimes when I'm wearing my body warmer, it flips over. Check 1, 2. It does seem quite quiet, doesn't it? Check 1, 2. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Check 1, 2. Something weird is going on here. That shouldn't be quite like that. I think it was just too far over. Sorry about that. Thank you. Please let me know if that ever gets too soft. Hi, Jeff. Hope you're doing great. I'd like to ask you, how does really support works? 3 teachers, 3 different answers, and I never ever could realize and understand how to apply it. Please help. I mean, support is creating subglottic air pressure. It's pressure below the epiglottis. ultimately what it does is, rather than using muscle tension in the voice to try to produce pitches, I mean, you always have to move air over the vocal folds in order to get them to buzz and, you know, get sound producing. Like, air has to flow over them. Support is about balancing out that flow of air, that subglottic air pressure, with the muscle tension at the vocal folds, so that you're just using the amount of muscle tension in the larynx that is really required to keep them adducted or closed. But that is a very broad question too. Yeah, it really works by it's a balance. You can use muscle tension, or you can use engagement, subglottic air pressure, airflow, support. If you don't use one, then you will end up using the other, and that can have rather dramatic effects on how you produce sound as a vocalist. My name is Gabriel, and I'm in a band named Flow State, and we have a show today. I don't know if you'll see this, but I've been warming up with you for 5 years, and you're part of the reason I can... Oh no, where is it? Where's the rest of it? Where's the rest of it? Where'd you go? Oh no, okay. Well, where are you? Okay, there it is. No, wait, wrong one. Okay, never mind. Awesome. I will check it out. Thank you for mentioning it here. I always encourage people to let us know about your gigs, whether they're in the real world or online or whatever. Thank you for watching all this time. Really appreciate it. Right on. Maybe so, Tim. He might have been referring to Vocal Fry, but I just don't know. Hey, Jeff. You've always been really helpful for me. Hoping you've got some tips on this one. I'm playing Anatoly in chess at the end of May, and it's a big sing. Any tips on building stamina? I'd really want to go and review that. So you know what I will do is, I think what I'm going to do is probably make a note of it. Well, I'm not probably going to make a note of it. I mean, that's, you know, that's what this is all about. I'll go have a listen, and maybe I can offer some thoughts in the next live event, which will be in about 2 weeks' time. Just let me know, and we can talk a bit more about it, Toby. If you pop up, just remind me in the chat, and then we can go from there. But off the top of my head, end of May, if you've got a good vocal practice happening already, then hopefully you're already set up for it. In other words, you're going to be fine getting into the gig and all that sort of stuff. Now is you're kind of at the cusp of things here. Now would be more about the time of just working and fine-tuning any kind of endurance or part problems or exercises that you might need that are specific to the parts you have to sing. If you're speaking about sort of endurance and what you mean by a big sing, that means just range or overall endurance. You know, like defining what it is would be helpful too. But in general, get your daily practice going. I would make sure that I'm spending plenty of time just with vowel alignment in the normal range of my voice, and I would absolutely be getting on top of any parts of the tunes, not the whole tune necessarily, but if there's a specific section that is particularly taxing for you, then try to take that, look at what it is, and create a vocalization out of it that reflects the part without being the part specifically, that you can just work on kind of access and endurance in that range. Just off the top of my head. Like scratching your voice. We're all over the world. I love YouTube. And Jeff, thank you. Big love right back at you. Jersey love stuff. I appreciate that. I know, it's really exciting, isn't it? Literally around the world. Crazy. That morning voice. Yeah, see, my voice, it doesn't sound not so scratchy in the morning. Celia, merci bien. I appreciate that. I'm so self-conscious about speaking French. Mixolydian, I love practicing and speaking French. I do that every day, but I'm very, very shy about it, and it's one of the things that I have been working on for the past year, and I want to step it up a notch on my own private practice, is just actually creating more opportunities for me to speak French. Mixolydian, focused warm-ups in the channel's future? Sure, I can do that. Such a fun thing to do. There's at least one or two already on the channel. I think the playlist is called the Specialized Scales playlist, and you can find them there. There's like some Locrian stuff too. Haley, how can we protect our voices while talking for long periods of time? Good luck. It feels like there should be a healthy method of speaking, like there is for healthy methods of singing. Yeah. And you know, I'm doing it. Like I'm kind of expanding and engaging as if I were singing. But you know, there's spoken word on this side of the spectrum of intelligibility, and on the other end is vocalization or vocalese. And we're still here. It is inherently more vocal fold intensive than just singing a vowel sound. So it's hard. I try to do my best. I try to take pauses. You've seen me drinking throughout this session today. I try to speak only as much as I can. You might notice that when I start my sentences with vowels, that there is a brief moment where my mouth is open but nothing is coming out. So like when I said as a moment ago, that's because I'm actually emitting air before I start to make noise to try to keep my vocal folds from adducting too aggressively and creating or getting the epiglottis to cover them and getting a glottal attack. I'm doing a lot of the things that I would do if I were singing, but it is still taxing. And talking on mobile phones is even worse, because there's no monitoring, right? Like on an old, if any of you have ever spoken on old analog phones, there was an earpiece, and that earpiece piped a bit of your voice back into your ear, so you didn't talk as loud. With mobile phones, that doesn't happen. So you can really be shouting into the void. It's something I have to be conscious of here too, because there's no feedback for me. I don't have a monitor. Maybe I should wear headphones. I don't know. I don't like wearing headphones that much though. First world problems, right? Have you seen how Bon Jovi has been singing recently? It's been really poor. Do you have any thoughts on why? Oh, I don't like to speculate on stuff like this because it just ends up sounding, I think, I did hear something recently and it was unfortunate. I feel bad that for someone who has had and still has such a career like John Bon Jovi, but you hear this with a lot of vocalists that require a lot of force and energy and are relying more on belted applications of their singing than balanced applications. And that's that at a certain point, like you really it starts to hurt. Not physically hurt, but it starts to become untenable. And if that's the only thing you've ever known, then you're really stuck for what to do after that begins to happen. This is why you heard me, if you've been here for a while, you may have heard me a few moments ago say to somebody who was asking about upper register stuff, and I said, whether you want a belt or not, or I said, if you want a belt, that's fine, or if you want to make a smooth transition and sing voce piena in testa, which is the sound of chest voice in head, which is indistinguishable to the casual listener. Like a singing instructor, someone like me will be able to tell the difference, but your casual listener will have no idea what's going on. This is why so many people think people have these, these like extremely extended chest voice ranges. It's not that they do, it's that they're making extremely good transitions. Learn the technique for that so you always have a choice, basically, is what I was getting to as it refers to John Bon Jovi. Learn to make the transition, learn voce piena in testa, make decisions about how you're going to use your voice. If all you know is belting, then you actually don't have the ability to choose because you haven't learned the technique. Once you learn the technique, then you can choose and make those decisions depending on what your repertoire requires of you or what artistically you wish to say. That's all totally fine, and I have, utmost respect for those choices. I used to work with an awful lot of metal vocalists when I had my office in San Francisco. I don't sing metal. I don't make those kinds of sounds. But these people were extremely committed to their form of music making, their art. And they needed help trying to preserve their voices so they could gig night after night after night. With a little bit of a technique and a little bit of compromise and a little bit of kind of a little bit more than a little bit of practice, but a little bit of practice every day. Then you can do an awful lot to mitigate some of the taxing effects that those extreme styles can have and maintain your vocal integrity. So, yeah. It's not, it's like when Pavarotti was coming to the end of his career and he was having to cancel shows very frequently. You feel for the individual. You want them to continue to be able to do what they have done for such a long time from a standpoint of like experiencing the art, but also because it's a part of who they are. It's a part of what they do. But you have to have the technique to support it. Greetings from Pittsburgh. Greetings from California. Thank you for popping in today, Suzanne. Hi. Also, I just got an SOVT straw. I'd love some Jeff Rolka exercises for it. You could largely do a lot of the lip trill stuff with that. I've used straws from time to time in the past. I generally steer away from some of those things because I use them on an as-needed basis depending upon the needs of the client with whom I'm working. If they don't need it, then I don't use it. I don't see them as something that we should all just do. Because if the client doesn't need it, then I don't do it. But this is a different situation here because I make all kinds of videos for all different sorts of things. And maybe I should, actually. You know what? I haven't really given it much thought. I'll think about it. Thank you for bringing it to my attention, Toby. I appreciate that. David, good morning to you, although I believe it's good evening where you are. Do you sing in your speaking voice or do you have a singing voice, sort of like an entertainer changes his her voice to do a voice imitation of some star. It's funny because if you asked me, I would say I do not have a singing voice. I sort of elongate what you're hearing now, but I think the people around me would disagree with that. I'm always it's kind of a funny thing. What will happen to me very frequently is I'll be hanging out with friends or family, and somebody will say something that will, say like, oh, it'll suggest a song to me. And so I will, of course, begin to sing the song. And everyone's like, oh, shh, like, quiet, you have no idea how loud you are. And they're right, actually. I don't. I mostly... I'm not sure how to articulate this, actually. I'm very comfortable with the internal experience of my voice, and I trust that the external outcome, like what is coming out of me, matches it sufficiently. Like, in other words, the differences between vowel sounds and the colorations that I hear in my head, I know from listening to myself enough times recorded, I know that they are what I want to have in the external world. And so that's how I think about it. I don't really think about volume very much, except in relationship to itself. So I know that if I'm starting low and ascending, I want to be a little bit less on the bottom to allow for more engagement and subglottic air pressure as I ascend. So I'm kind of, I guess in a way, I'm so in the internal experience, I don't know if I've ever really thought about it like that. And so, yeah, in some respects, it would be more interesting to ask like the people around me, but of course they're not here to answer that question. What I would say is that when I listen to myself on recordings, which is like every day just about, I don't really hear anything that sounds unusual to me. It sort of just sounds like I kind of always hear myself. I don't really hear anything different. I don't know. But then again, that's all very subjective because I hear myself speaking out loud and speaking and recording day after day after day after day in all these different capacities. Yeah, that's kind of weird. It's a very interesting question. Jersey Love Steph, I'm getting my truck loaded. If I miss anything, I will watch again. Okay. Karaokeversion.com. Thank you, Brandon. And thank you, by the way, for monitoring. I appreciate you being here. Jordan, I'm curious about ways to alleviate a scratchy, creaky voice in the upper range of the chest voice and lower range of mixed voice. Scratches could be weird. Creaks or cracks are usually imbalances in airflow. Usually, without hearing you, I am speculating. So you're going to have to evaluate and see. But what you might try to do is try your exercises and give yourself a free pass on like the vowels and whatever. Just give yourself a total free pass and put all of your focus on your expansion and engagement and see what happens. Just try to focus down here and see what occurs. If the creakiness or scratchiness goes away, then you've got your answer. If not, then there's some other point where there's an imbalance, and some vowel alignment practices, some sort of short note practices and things like that might be appropriate to try to figure out what's going on exactly. I like to have a private lesson from you. I sent you an email that you didn't answer. Sorry, my English. If you sent an email to me, I don't know if I got it. And I don't know how you would have sent an email to me, actually. If you want to get information about lessons, then you can use the contact form on my website, jeffrolka.com. I can guarantee you that if you use that contact form, I will see the email, the message, and I will respond. Believe me, There's no filtering going on through there. I probably shouldn't have said that. Anyways, yeah, I don't, if you sent an email, I don't know where you may have sent it to. And sometimes these things do go to my spam filters as well. So you might just have to try again or use the contact sheet on jeffrolka.com. Sam, good to see you. Good to hear from you, Sam. 2 questions. I have my jury tomorrow, break a leg, and I was wondering what you recommend in terms of warming up for it. Would you be able to do more warm down? Okay, number 2, sure. Yeah, I just lose track of like the stuff that. Now I've lost my pen. I dropped it, didn't I? There we go. I really want to be like, you know, the sort of batty professor types, but I'm just kind of too organized. I aspire to being the absent-minded professor, but is that really a good thing? No, I don't think it is. Warm downs. That's a great idea. Actually, I haven't done one of those in ages. I've been getting really excited about some of the different videos like this weekend. What is it? Is it a riff video that's coming out this weekend, or did that come out last week? This week might be, oh no, I've still got to do the, it's minor pentatonics this weekend. I got super excited about the idea. I literally woke up the day before my production day. So if for example, I was doing production on Friday, I woke up on Thursday thinking about this minor pentatonic idea I had. And then I thought about it for Thursday and I worked out a few things. And then on Friday morning, I woke up again and I practiced what I needed to do. And then I cut the video. Super excited about that. I think it'll be interesting anyways. Okay, so Sam, about your jury. Time and focus, all right? That's what I'm going to direct you towards. I don't know all the specifics of your situation. And at this point, I presume that you have done your practice, you've done the work necessary to adequately prepare for your jury. Tomorrow, give yourself time and reflect upon what you have done in the past that has been successful. So, if in the past you've done performances, and for those performances you warmed up right to the moment that you walked on stage, then you might want to try that tomorrow. On the other hand, if previously you warmed up an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours before the performance, and that then set you up for a very good performance, do that. Now is not the time to experiment. Now is the time to spend a few minutes reflecting on what has worked for you previously and preferably more recently than like ancient history, and do those things. We can never account for every variable when it comes to performances, but if in the past you've had success with this particular scenario, then I would recommend that you do that getting ready for your jury tomorrow. And again, break a leg. I wish you the absolute best. Shalom. Hello here in Kenya. I'm a tenor. I requested that you explain what I do next after I draw in air to sing, and how do I keep my mouth open and tongue in the best position to sing high notes. I mean, if you have an appoggio practice, then much of those questions should be more or less right there. What you are asking is a number. If I described to you all of the individual little things that occur at that moment, I mean, one, you need to have adequate expansion laterally and good engagement so that you create subglottic air pressure. This would happen like 60% of that would have been maintained while you were taking air. And then in getting ready for the tonal onset, it would increase, the vocal folds would adduct, and you would have already had a mental concept of the pitch that you were about to sing. The tongue is entirely dependent on what you're singing. If the word starts with a T, that will change where the tongue is as compared to if the word that you're going to sing starts with an A. There is no one set place for those sorts of things. You have to evaluate it on a case-by-case basis. If you're just singing vocalizations with no consonants of any kind, then the tip of the tongue will be behind the front bottom teeth, resting gently in contact with the front bottom teeth. The rear of the tongue position will be dependent on the vowel that you're singing. Higher for E, ever so slightly lower for ahs and ohs. Haley at Brandon Jeff, thank you for the information and recommendations. Very good to know. I'll check it out for sure. Groovy. Thank you for helping out there, Brandon. I appreciate that. Angelica, it's for worship on Sunday. They want me to sing the song. My voice is sounding rough for the past few days. I have practice tonight. Okay, well, thank you for elaborating. That helps me help you. I should probably start off these things with a sort of public service announcement, like be specific. The more you tell me, the more I can help you and stuff like that. If you're sick, there's nothing you can do about that. You might be better off to rest for today, because today is Thursday. So at least where it is in California. I guess if you're in New Zealand or Australia, I guess it's Friday. Japan. I'm not sure where it switches over to Thursday again, but at any rate, you might be better off resting today. You would do well to evaluate whether or not you can sing over your registration events. So start with the primo passaggio. If you cannot sing over the primo passaggio the way that you typically do, so in your normal day-to-day practice, if you can't make that registration event transition, then you need to take some time off. You need to evaluate if you actually have a cold or if you're just a little bit scratchy. Were there environmental reasons why you're scratchy? Are they still going to be here as you make your way towards Sunday? If they are, and you cannot remove them, that's tricky because it's not going to change anything. If there are environmental factors that contributed to your scratchy voice, remove them if you can, or stop doing them. So by way of example, someone once asked a question of me in a live event. Again, I think it was on Thursday. They're like, I have a show on Saturday afternoon, but I'm supposed to go to the bar on Friday night where I generally drink and smoke a lot and talk, but I'm going to thrash my voice. What do I do? I'm like, well, don't go to the bar. I mean, if the gig is that important to you, then don't go out, or don't drink and smoke, and don't talk as much as you can. Like, or you can get really close to people, your friends and stuff like that. You can talk to them at a lower, more reasonable voice, and then you can back away while they're talking to you. You're going to have to evaluate your environment, what has caused this, if you can make a determination, and see if you can remove what is causing the scratchiness or the rough sound to your voice. And then in terms of recuperating, you got a couple days, so start in the comfortable mid-range of your voice and work outwards from there only as it feels comfortable. Just about done here. It's probably going to go crazy. It went crazy. Yeah, sorry, I never get a chance for everyone's questions. Thank you for practicing daily with the work here, Toby. I appreciate that. You're very welcome for the answers. Thank you. I'm glad that you're improving, Kenneth. Susan, love your lessons. Been watching for years. I try to be very helpful. I appreciate that. I do sometimes fail, but my intentions are always to help and to be as best a servant as I possibly can be. How to engage both at the same time, vocal folds and engagement. That's a bit too broad, I'm afraid, for here. It's a process of coordination and practice. You have to practice them individually and then put them together with time. That's what dynamic air pressure exercises really are. I finally made it to a live. Hi, Jeff. This is Time Tossing. You're very welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm glad you made it. Told my lessons that I should raise my soft palate to obtain higher notes. I've barely begun to understand how that works. Can explain a bit more. Yeah, so I mean, lifting the soft palate does create more space in the rear of the oral cavity. This can help with resonances and color. It typically will have an impact when we do that kind of shift of the soft tissues. I would kind of want to read a little bit more about this to refresh my memory on it. I don't think about lifting the soft palate as being the reason why we can sing high notes, because I can do this. You, 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 you. I can sing that note without lifting my soft palate. It doesn't sound very nice, but I can actually do it. I can do it because I'm allowing my vocal fold to elongate, and it's not airy because I'm keeping the vocal folds adducted. I have practiced these things, and so I can do that. But as I said, you wouldn't want to sing like that unless it was like a character thing. Now, if you want to make a noise that people want to hear, and now I've been talking for an hour, so if this isn't as pristine as it could be, well, there, yeah, you're going to have to lift your soft palate a little bit to get the kind of color and soft tissue resonance that makes it sound more like, you know, a singing voice that you might want to listen to. Oh, thanks, Ange. Okay, so this happens when I mention the mid-roll thing. I'm keeping ads on the channel at the front and end. I'm not getting rid of all the ads. I'm specifically talking about mid-roll ads. YouTube turned those on a year ago or something like that. I never turned them on my channel, and when it happened, I went through like the top 200 videos and turned them all back off again. But you know, there's like 1,200 videos here, and I don't want to spend my time going through every single video and turning them off if they're only getting a few views per month, because I don't even know if people are watching that, and I don't want to spend the time looking at the metrics for all of these videos. So what I always just tell people is like, hey, if you're using a video and it's got mid-roll ads on it, like leave a comment and then I'll go turn them off. That's fine. Like I'm happy to do that. So yeah, that's what I mean. I'm keeping ads on the channel. I'm sorry. YouTube, like the production of YouTube material takes a sufficient amount of my time that the amount of money that I can make with the advertisements, it doesn't really come close to offsetting it entirely, but it helps, you know. So I'm sorry, you know, until something fundamentally changes with sort of how like levels of support occur on the channel, I really have to keep the ads rolling at the beginning and the end, but mid-roll is out of the question as far as I'm concerned. That is anathema to the experience that I want people to have when practicing. That is not good practice. So anyways, Marco, you can't go just on that information alone. There's a little bit more that's involved in determining FOC, which is vocal range classification or designation. And furthermore, you have to have really good vowel alignment and really good technique before coming to that conclusion. If you do it the other way around, and I've never heard you, I have no idea what you sound like. You know, your vowels may be absolutely, you know, beautiful and well executed and well balanced, and the registration events are very, very clear. But, you know, if you type FACH, F-A-C-H, into Wikipedia, it'll give you a good description, and it'll give you like a framework for the various FOCs that exist. And going by the name Marco, if you are male, look at the baritone and tenor designations, familiarize yourself with the ranges that they're in, and that may help you understand a bit more about your voice. But there is a key registration event that you know, you have to know the location of to make a determination. Anyways, folks, I've already gone over a lot. I have to say goodbye. I'm so sorry about not getting to everyone's questions. Thank you so very much. Expanded vowels, extended ranges. I'll think about that. You know, when you get into extended ranges, it's basically just ah. But at any rate, I'm in California right now. I see that. So sorry I haven't gotten to everyone's questions, but thank you all for being here. Thank you for watching on the channel. Take really good care of your voices, enjoy singing, and hopefully we'll see you again. Have a lovely day on top of all that. Really appreciate the questions. Luxembourg, Germany, how cool. Really appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it, everybody. Thanks. I'll see you later. Bye.